This is round 12 of the International Masters of Formula R 2.0, the second of 2 races from Road America in Wisconsin. Last time out we saw Mr. Flobodob take his first victory of the season ahead of the rookie MDSP, and both were the class of the field as pretty much everybody else made mistakes behind. Next time out we are in Japan at the Okayama circuit, known for holding 2 F1 races and sometimes for being wet. But
yes.
Before we get there, we need to resolve the business here. Road America caught plenty of people out, notably at turn 5 and at the carousel, and turn 14 and turn 1 as well. Plenty of incidents and accidents around the circuit. And
yes, we saw a lot of people being caught out by curbs and grass and braking points.
And everything in between, indeed. But only 2 retirements, surprisingly, the 2 senior motorsports cars. And on the grid, AGOK has reverse grid pole, by virtue of finishing 8th ahead of Lynn Joe Speed, who's a very strong 6th in the race 1 by virtue of not making mistakes. P.Y. James, Kimster, Blairy, MDSP and Mr. Flobodob a race 1 winner in 8th. Race Pro just missed out, as did Dan Thorne, and last of the finishers, Don Matteo, will start 11th. As we can see, a slightly reduced field, only 13 cars on the grid for this race, unfortunately. Seemingly the costs of crossing the Atlantic are being felt by some of our teams.
Yeah, apparently there are a lot of scheduling conflicts. Obviously these drivers are part-timers to an extent. They have other commitments, so they can't make a race, but here we go.
Yes, red lights are starting to come on. 4 lights, 5 lights. They're green, they're away.
And looks like a good start there from the front row.
Yep,
AJK though jumps into the lead.
AJK and Lynn jumps lead from the Lynn moving across, and Blairy and Flobodob are 2 of our podium finishers from the first race. And Kimster. And he's collected by Don Matteo, and Dan Thorne's going backwards.
Absolute carnage again.
Dear oh dear. And
MDSP already up 3rd.
Running on against Joe Speed.
He's going to go dives down the inside. Ooh.
Banging wheels, but they both get away with it. Absolute carnage in the opening laps.
Not for the first time. Blairy's been taken out at the first corner.
No, it looked like he got beached in the gravel as well, so hopefully he got out of that in the end.
Blairy, of course, the championship leader.
Yes. DSP still challenging Joe Speed.
And this is allowing AJOK to build up as big a lead as he can.
Yes, he'll be... Well, you saw in the first race he wasn't necessarily the fastest driver in the field, so he'll be hoping to run away as quickly as possible and build up as big a lead as possible before the fast guys manage to free themselves. Joe Speed acting as a nice buffer here, but MDSP has got a very good run out of the kink and he claims 2nd place.
Yeah, he's already getting the place before the braking zone, but he's going to have to be careful here not to leave the door open. And he does not.
I know. Very good. And Lynn gets into someone. I think it was Mastront Wolf, and that allows Don Matteo and the other senior motorsports car through.
P.Y. James very lucky there not to be collected.
Yes, I think P.Y. James almost righted Lynn there, who was half spun.
Joe Speed hasn't given up on 2nd place.
No. AGOK is already being caught by the cars behind him. As they stream across the finish line to finish the opening lap. Mastront Wolf challenging Don Matteo. Lynn close behind, and Race Pro being challenged by Blairy, I believe.
And here comes Coffey trying to get 8th place away from Don Matteo. Goes around the outside and makes it stick.
And Blairy managed to get past Race Pro in turn 1, and Lynn challenging Don Matteo. Runs just a little wide, but he'll have the run into turn 3, but he's got Blairy in very close call.
That's going to be interesting. It's going to be a traffic jam by the time they get to the bottom of this hill.
Does anyone risk going 3 wide? Because Lynn's got a run on Don Matteo.
It's not going to be wide enough for 3 cars, so we'll see.
And
Blairy dives down the inside. But a bit tentative. Lynn's still hanging around on the outside.
But Blady makes the move stick and now has a free run at Don Matteo.
Ooh, getting very, very close to him there. He's just got to be patient.
Oh,
not cut him
AJOK's off the track. They're laser and he collects Joe Speed. Oh dear.
Oh,
dear.
what a disaster.
And he's struggled in the middle of the track. Hopefully everyone will manage to get round him. And
Oh, no.
Don Matteo and Lynn gets into Don Matteo, and that's a very big accident there for those cars. That's AJOK as we saw, and Lynn and Don Matteo all out of the race with huge damage to their cars.
Don Matteo's only got one wheel left.
He took a hit both against AJOK and from Lynn, who was...
Oh, overcorrection there from AJOK.
And Joe Speed just... nowhere to go. It's very unfortunate
Nothing
for
to
him.
do.
Looks like he was able to continue, and Don Matteo just unsighted by the two senior motorsports cars in front, and Lynn...
That is very, very scary.
Lynn likewise just completely unsighted behind, just couldn't react in time to the stationary cars in front. That was a very big accident for those three cars. AJOK taking two big hits.
It sounds as if all the drivers involved were okay though, so that's the main thing.
Yes, and that means that with three cars out, everybody who finishes will get points.
Yes, with a depleted field, that is the case.
Yes, only 10 cars left. Though you do need to finish to get points, so any further retirements will be non-scorers.
Now, Kimson Flob did have a few words after the Nürburgring round about possible weaving from Kimster, so that he's not going to take that too kindly.
Are we going to be getting some more words after this race? Slobodov round the outside. Oh, they bang wheels, and Slobodov has a big lock-up, and Kimster spins. He kind of crowded out Flob, so there's kind of instant karma there, and that allows his teammate through. And Joe Speed in the pits, he's managed to make it round from that collision with AJOK.
And here's a replay of the start from Blairy's point of view.
Joe Speed will be able to get him repairs done and finish for points. Yes, Blairy, just all very crowded indeed, and he got... tried to go around the outside, and there was just a concertina effect, and wrong place.
It's always the risk when you're on the outside. Obviously he had nowhere else to go, and then was taken out anyway.
Wrong place at the wrong time there. And Slobodov, you just see what's happening, and he just gets into Blairy, and definitely wrong place at the wrong time.
It just seems as if we've seen this quite a few times, especially in the reverse grid races. Just people need to be a little more patient.
Yeah, you can't win the race in the first corner, but you can definitely lose it, to use a well-known cliche.
And we certainly do see that quite a few times.
Yes. You can see the plume of gravel dust, and this is Kimster, who got tapped by Lynn and then hit by Don Matteo.
And here we see where P.Y. James came a cropper. And this was the incident between Don Matteo and
Kimster. You interested to see Dan Thorne seemed to get... we're about to see what happened to Dan Thorne. He got into Kimster. But Dan Thorne seemed to be a retirement, so that means there's only 9 cars left. Dan Thorne was out in the spot, seemingly with some kind of terminal damage.
There have been a few murmurings of looking at rolling starts, and with starts like that, maybe it's something that has to be seriously considered.
Well, we've seen the rolling starts in the long-form gears races, which, although they're not televised, are interesting examples of what can happen with rolling starts. But then, the first corner is still quite crowded with rolling starts, maybe less so.
Definitely. They'll need to think about that and see what the positives and negatives are and whether it would be any better.
Yes.
Race Pro trundling around on his own, currently in 8th place.
8th place, which would be his best finish of the season. He finished 9th in the previous race. And finished 9th in the previous race, and one previous points finish at Vara when he came home 10th. and if he finishes this race, he will get more points in the Drivers' Championship.
And that would be, I think that would decide the Independence Championship in his favour, wouldn't it?
Very possibly, yes. MDSP looks like the only one who can challenge him, but Race Pro, having attended every race this season, will almost certainly win that particular championship.
As it is decided to complete a different point system as well, and it doesn't go by your driver standings.
Exactly.
So everything's calmed down just a little bit after all the excitement of the first lap.
Yes, and next thing you know, 5 laps have passed. Well, 4 laps, we're on lap 5.
To Offender's car, there, line astern.
Indeed. And, running around. Ooh, Astronaut Wolf running very wide in 7th place.
It's quite lucky there that he didn't get spat out, but just kept it calmly.
Yes, he made a very similar mistake in the first race, where he got onto the curb and hit the wall and was out in the spot. But
taking things very serenely now.
Well, he doesn't need to do much else. He seems to have a good gap to Race Pro behind, and his teammate ahead is some distance ahead, so he just, like a lot of these drivers, we think he just needs to finish this race, with points of course guaranteed.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers do seem to have thought, okay, we're in a good position now, so just keep it on the road.
Yes, and Senior Motorsports, their points, they haven't all been in the points terribly often this season, so they'll be looking at a double points finish here and thinking, don't do anything silly.
Well, this is the closest thing that MDSP does have to a home race, and any Mexicans who will have come up to see him were certainly getting well rewarded for the journey.
Yes, 2nd place in race 1, and he's leading this race. Not exactly a short trip though from Mexico to northern Wisconsin.
No.
And fastest lap, 2 minutes 1.9, that's about a second off pole, which is extremely impressive on lap 5.
Quite similar to his fastest lap from the previous race, but that was set a few laps later into the race.
Yes, NDSP demonstrating almost scary consistency here.
It's certainly an ominous for the rest of the field,
yes,
what he might be able to do next series.
Yes, indeed. No word yet on what the next season might be, although hints are that it isn't going to be another single-seater, which will come as a relief to several drivers.
Yes, traditionally you won't have the same kind of cars 2 series running.
No.
The exception being seasons 7 and 8 when we had Japanese touring cars and then onto the Seat touring cars.
Yes. But in Race 07 we have these cars this season. Last season we had the STCC cars for the Wheel Racing Touring Car Championship, and the season before that there was a mini-series to test out this game in the Formula BMWs.
So he had a flag. Oh no!
Goodness me! Joe
very
Speed
scary moment.
having an accident and very nearly taking out the leader.
And who's that going off?
That's Flob going off on the exit of the carousel. This is a replay. Joe Speed, just getting onto the curb, and NTSP, we know he was caught out by this as much as anyone.
I think MDSP needs to go out and buy a lottery ticket.
Yes.
Extremely fortunate not to be collected there, and of course with the speeds you're going at, you really have no time at all to react.
No, and any collision there would have been presumably race ending for both cars.
And it would have been a terrible shame.
It would have been. The two drivers both looking at good results, MDSP especially leading the race.
Up the hill he goes. No one else in shot, which just shows you how much of a lead he has now.
And I think is it P.Y. James running second? And then
Yes.
And then Flobadog and Blady running fourth.
So they've done well to recover from that first corner incident.
Yes, and Blady will be very pleased with fourth place after that incident at the first corner where he was spun and got beached in the gravel. And he's crucially running ahead of Kimster, his main rival in the championship at this stage.
Yes, it's all looking very good for Blurry now. Of course, Ollie K has missed the last 4 races now.
Yes. It's Ollie K, unfortunately, circumstances out with his control, has been forced to miss several rounds. He was looking like he would be right there or thereabouts for the championship, but unfortunately he will have to wait another season unless... Well, plenty could happen at Okayama and Kuretava, so he's not mathematically out by any means, but it would be an incredible achievement to win the championship from after missing these races. He will be hoping that the defenders don't really make much more progress in this race.
Of course, Blurry himself has missed 2 rounds, so it's not like there's any more points to come off of his total. This is what he's going to finish the season with.
Yes,
and whatever he adds to it.
Because you get 2 dropped scores, and Kimster's also missed a round at Algarve. No, not at Algarve, at Estoril.
Flobberdob now.
He's getting a little wide, but he's definitely closer to PY James than he was, and he'll be...
Oh, that is Blurry Elf.
It is indeed.
And as we were saying, things can so easily go from
and he's having to
good
piss
position.
As well.
Oh.
So presumably some kind of wing damage which needs to be fixed, and that'll drop him behind several other cars.
So good from sitting very prettily now. It looks like Kimster's going to take some points off him as side by side go the 2 offenders cars. Flob has got that position, but PY James is going to be close enough to him to have a go back at him. So we just see he opens the door.
Trying to get the best line from the corner, and it looks like it's the right decision. He's able to carry more speed and holds on to 2nd place.
PY James not fancying a lunge.
No. So that Flogdog will be wanting to chase MDSP, but MDSP is quite some distance up the road and will be hard to pass even if he does get close.
The offenders have been somewhat shadowed by their sister team in races before, but now we're seeing them show what they can really do.
Yes, they're both... Well, Flobador particularly in race 1 just drove the perfect race, controlling it from the front, and he's demonstrated very good speed. He seems to be quite comfortable with the 2nd fastest car this weekend.
It was a long pit stop there from Blairy, so obviously a few more issues than just changing the front wing.
We're about to see a replay of what happened. Oh, got onto the curb, and yes. Well, it's worth noting that the front wing does take longer to change in these cars than it does in some other single-seaters, as the senior motorsports cars get very close indeed. Their team manager will not like this. With them running 5th and 6th, which would be their best results of the season by some margin.
Yeah, they certainly don't want to throw away such a golden opportunity to score points.
Then they both have their own races and their own championships to worry about, so they'll both want that 5th place and the extra points it brings. Since neither of them is likely to have such a good result again this season, it could be a very, very big deal in the championship for either of these drivers. And at the moment, Mastro and Wolf is on the ascendancy.
It does appear so, but not just the main championship table. Of course, the first championship table is between you and your teammate, regardless of where else you finish. Of
course, yes. And Croffy, by virtue of a few points, finishes in the early races, does have the edge over Mastro and Wolf. So Mastro and Wolf will want to get as many points on the board as possible.
And of course, even if you do finish the season behind your teammate, claiming their best result is quite a good consolation prize.
It is.
Obviously they're not going for a podium or a victory, but it would be almost as good for them.
Well, running 5th and 6th, you never know if something goes wrong up front. He could well be challenging for a podium.
Well, we've seen the offenders before take each other out, so
yes.
If such an eventuality happened, then suddenly they would be going for much greater glory than 5th and 6th. But at the moment they're just shadowing each other.
That's all he needs to do. Croffy just needs to lie in wait half a second behind his teammates until the last couple of laps when you can really mount a challenge. Because ultimately it doesn't matter, even if you run behind your team, the car in front, for the entire race, if you're ahead of the line, that's all that matters.
It's just got to stick close to him and, as you say, pick his moment and go for it at the end. It's so beautiful just to see the cars going through this very forested region.
Road America is one of the most scenic tracks we'll go to. It's maybe not to the same extent as somewhere like Spa, but it is right up there as one of the prettiest circuits in the calendar.
Well, the weather's a lot better than Spa, that's one thing.
That is true, that is true. We've had... And it's not glorious sunshine, but it has been very pleasant in North America for our visit.
It's also the perfect time of year for them to go, very late autumn. Wisconsin is famed for its autumnal beauty.
Yes, though all the trees do seem to be remarkably green for autumn.
Autumn does tend to come quite late in especially in the more northerly parts of North America.
True. Anyway, this is a motor race, not a weather channel. And we're seeing the battles at the moment are between teammates. We've just seen the senior motorsports cars, and now we're seeing the offenders. Lobodom just seems to have just a few tenths of a second a lap over PY James, and he'll of course be wanting to challenge MDSP ahead.
Again, from Flobodov, it's all about controlling the race, not taking unnecessary risks.
No.
Of course, he would love to win the race, but if MDSP is that far ahead, then it's somewhat a forlorn hope, without a mistake from the Mexican.
It's best just to hold what you have and see what happens up ahead.
And of course, with NDSP putting in lap times like that,
he's not going to be caught anytime soon. And on lap 10, that is an extremely impressive time. And two senior motorsports cars are very close indeed. Croffy challenging.
Perhaps Marcel Wolf made a slight mistake there from the carousel, but we'll see. If that happened before, we'll resolve this battle first.
Croffy just not doing anything rash at this stage.
He's just putting his car where Marcel Wolf has to think about him a little.
Yes, he's putting himself in his teammates' mirrors, which is often all you need to do, and they're under no real threat from behind, so Master Wolf running into the gravel would suit Croffy quite well and not jeopardise the team's position in the championship.
And we see that he missed the apex of the last corner, which is exactly what Croffy needed to see. Not quite enough.
Master Wolf does seem to be running slightly lower wing. He seems to have more straight line speed, despite being a bit more ragged in the corners.
I had thought there that Marcel Wolf had outbraked himself, but it was Croffy himself who took the corner too slowly.
Indeed.
So very much a stalking game, you know, the Jaws music will be playing in his head.
Indeed. Though hopefully without any particularly gruesome ends. That would not be what the team manager wants.
Definitely not. Very calm.
Croffy just waiting to pick his moment, but he's only got 2.5 laps to make a move if he's going to make one at all. And as we discussed earlier, he will want that 5th place to cement his standing in the team.
This is the part of the lap where he seems to close up and then just for some reason hasn't quite got the job done yet.
He seems to be faster in the twisty middle part of the circuit, more so than Master and Wolf. And Master and Wolf is able to gain time on the straights, so they've set up their cars quite differently.
Yeah, you see there through the carousel just how much time he made up, but he just can't keep close to him on the straights.
He can't. No,
he's got a bit of benefit from the slipstream, but it's not enough.
It's not really a run, it's more just he's getting closer.
But now you can see him using every inch of the road. He's decided now is the time.
There's time with 2 laps to go to really push his teammates, try and force some kind of error.
But Master Aunt Wolf is not making any mistakes now. He's realised that he doesn't really have to over-defend. He's got enough gap at the end of the straight to be relatively safe unless his teammate decides a quick lunge.
Well, but Coffey's got a run. Goes to the outside, Master Aunt Wolf defends.
Slightly overshoots, and now this might be all the invitation he needs as they go side by side.
Yep, and if he overtakes here, Master Aunt Wolf will have the run down the long back straight.
And I think that must be in his head because he didn't fight back there through turn 3.
And down the back straight they go.
And he's just wheeling him in slowly.
He is.
And has a little look. Is he going to be brave enough on the brakes?
Down the inside.
And he does regain the position.
A brave move against your teammates.
It looked like his teammate was almost compliant in there. Obviously, as we've said, under orders not to take each other out.
No, nothing silly, thank you very much.
No defenders style chops across the boards of their teammates.
No. The defenders' team management seems to have a somewhat looser control over their drivers than the senior motorsports managers.
I don't think that's going to be the last move of the fight between them. Oh, he's gone wide.
He has. Oh, he's on the grass. Gets away with it, but that gives Crofty the run. And of course that he'll have more momentum all the way down this very, very long straight.
Now he's just got to pick himself up, and he's got one more lap to make an attempt and not throw it into the scenery, getting frustrated at a silly mistake.
No, that's the last thing he or the team will want.
But maybe the gap might just be too big. There's certainly a few car lengths between them. It's really going to have to be a last-ditch attempt to get that place back.
Yes, as they go into the final lap. Already on the final lap is MDSP, just going towards the carousel. He has been utterly dominant in this race.
Just so serene in a class of his own, and we have often seen that in these races. Once a leader gets comfortable, there's just no beating him.
Yes, and with the drivers behind, the defenders in second and third have had a few incidents and accidents throughout this race, and that has allowed MDSP to run away at the front, as we saw in race 1 with Flobodov, who's managed to not make it. And Blairy set his fastest lap, 2 minute 1.8 on the penultimate lap. So tyre wear obviously not being too much of an issue here.
Just doing as a little consolation as of what might have been. It is the fastest lap we've seen all weekend, but here comes MDSP, weaving in celebration. He doesn't want to do that too erratically. He's not seen the line yet.
He doesn't want to do a Bjorn Ver time. And slowing right up, that's a little bit risky, but under no threat from behind, as you can see, and he takes his first win in what is only his 4th race.
That's an incredible achievement by the Mexican.
Meanwhile, behind, the battle rages between Crofty and Master Aunt Wolf. Master Aunt Wolf is behind, but if he stays in the slipstream, he'll have a run down the back straight through the kinks.
And he's right on him, and he's almost... Oh no, he doesn't want to go too... No!
And Crofty spins, and...
Is he... Oh, we can keep going.
It was the one thing they absolutely couldn't do to each other. But Crofty keeps going.
I think he might just get away with that from team management, because it doesn't look like there's going to be anyone to take 6th place away from them.
No, Race Pro or Joe Speed behind is... Let's see it here. Crofty defends into the kink, and we saw Master Wolf getting onto the grass, and
that really wasn't on. There was that gap was always going to disappear.
There wasn't really a gap to go into to begin with, never mind disappearing. But Master Wolf takes 5th place, and Crofty
with no front wing.
with no front wing. He's not the first person to cross the line of no front wing this season. And MDSP has run out of fuel in the last lap, on the slowing down lap rather. And another race 1 run at 119 miles an hour average. MDSP, as we saw, won Flobodob 7.5 seconds behind in second, PY James 20 seconds behind, Bastront Wolf in fifth after the last lap collision with his teammate, a minute behind. Race Pro unable to catch Croffey, finishes 7th, Blady 8th. Joe Speed last of the finishers in 9th, Lynn, Don Matteo, AGOK and Dan Thorne all had accidents and collisions at various points in the opening couple of laps, and Joe Speed's smoking an awful lot in the slowing down lap.
In the best time.
In the championship, Blairy has the lead by 8 points. He finished ahead of Kimster in both races, I believe. Ollie K falling just that much further out of contention, now 20 points behind Blairy, but he's not mathematically out. Jay Coops has withdrawn from the championship for the rest of the season, so PY James on 68 points should overtake him. Dan Thorne 11th on 22 points. The Independables actually 11th and 12th. And Croffey moves ahead of Lynn by virtue of his points finish in 6th place, even despite that incident. And the Defenders have a commanding lead over Junior Motorsports, who were a no-show here. The Defenders on 127 points could well overhaul that gap to Junior Motorsports if this weekend is anything to go by. And in the Independents, Monolith Motorsport, if they haven't won it already, will win it. Scuderia Mexicana have jumped right into 2nd place. They were the only two independents in this race. Another messy race, especially at the start. As we saw,
the race was so full of promise, and just these silly first lap incidents completely tear up the potential script.
Yes, and both the first two real corners had absolute carnage, and Dan Thorne rather unlucky to be the only one taken out there. And it seemed like just about everybody in the field got caught up in some way. And then we saw AGOK with that accident.
It's a rather terrifying sequence of events.
Taking out 3 cars on the spot and severely affecting Joe Speed, who still finished in 9th. And Joe Speed nearly also took out DSP. Very lucky they both got away with that. We saw, I think, less mistakes in that race in terms of just getting on the grass and spinning, but there were
fewer cars to make mistakes.
Yes, and the cars that were there made some rather messy incidents we're seeing with the Senior Motorsports collision in the last lap.
Yeah, I would like to see a little more respect in side-by-side situations between these drivers.
Yes, Croffey will not be pleased to have been lost out in 5th place in that manner. This has been Round 12 of the International Masters Formula R 2.0. We are in Okayama next time in 2 weeks. We hope to see you then.
See you there.